Yes, yeah. It's so
I
good
don't
to
know.
have you on.
It's
Yes,
so good to
absolutely.
be here. I don't know
Yes,
what
so
happened, but I'm here
yeah,
now.
yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today,
Yeah.
on this powerful episode on Plant Power Unleashed, today we diving into something that affects everyday aspects of our health, and which
Yep.
is our gut. And whether you just starting your journey or looking for ways to tune in your gut, this conversation is for you. The gut isn't just about digestion, it's the foundation of our immunity, mental clarity, and even our mood. If
Yes.
we reset the gut, we reset the body. But how do we actually do that? And that's what I would love to get into that with you. We should be in and we should be awarding. And together, we're going to explore working and what's not working, and how a plant based diet, nutrition, mindful eating, and lifestyle shifts can restore balance. My guest today is Naomi Compton, an RN and health coach and a functional nutrition counselor and training, brings deep knowledge and personal experience in this area. And we're here to help you take the next step in your gut health journey. So again, welcome. Let's get into it because we here to heal.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. So the first question I want to ask you, can you explain the importance of gut health and its overall well-being?
Yeah. So everything in the body really starts at the gut. It's really fascinating because I think when people think of gut, they're just thinking like the stomach and the intestine, but it really starts like your mouth, your esophagus, and it does include the stomach, the small and large intestine, and your anus. So it's not like simply about food. When you think about phrases such as like trust your gut, like that comes from somewhere.
Yes.
So the brain, the gut is obviously part of the digestive system, but it is connected to your nervous system as well. And like so many of your organs are connected to the gut. So when you think about, for example, if you were like nervous about something or excited about something, like your mouth might get dry. You might get what they call a frog in your throat, which is another interesting phrase. I really need to figure out where frog and throat came from. But, you
That
know,
that bulge.
yeah, right. It's like it's stuck in there. Like, well, why did they choose a frog?
Yes.
Like, maybe, I don't know. Sometimes once you make the noise, maybe it sounds like a frog. But even like butterflies in your stomach,
Yes.
your gut is called the second brain because there are like hundreds of millions of brain cells in your gut.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. Yes. So it goes beyond just digestion. So when you think about the impact that your gut has on the rest of your body, you do become a little more concerned with and a little more intentional about what you put in your body. So this
Yes.
is one reason why I just think it's like so important.
Okay, and again, thank you for it. And what are some of the common signs like of an unhealthy gut that you have seen?
Yeah, so I would say like gas and bloating for sure, constipation and diarrhea, which can happen at the same time. Um, Nausea, vomiting, just fatigue, inflammation, and so many things. And one of the common symptoms that people are experiencing now that like medical science doesn't have a full grasp on is leaky gut syndrome. So that is, yeah. So depending on what you put in your body and how much rest you're getting and how much stress you're having, you can weaken your gut, causing it to like the mitochondria, they aren't able to work as hard. They're like these little sausage things doing this, right?
Yeah.
And then if you put something in your body that's slowing it down, then they just move slower and slower and slower, and they shrink up a little bit, and things can get through. Toxins get through. So that would say, but there are so many possible symptoms to leaky gut that it's just called a syndrome at this
Yes.
point.
And I want to touch on that. And the other thing, few things, is for me that I've seen is skin issues,
Yes,
eczema, and all that stuff. Because I tell people what you truly eat is a reflection, and it usually takes sometimes two few months for some signs and symptoms to arise
that's true.
in your body. So that's what for me is just a clean lifestyle. Now, I don't like to say diet, I like to say
Right.
lifestyle. But
Yes.
also with the leaky gut syndrome, I know I've read a study, and I know for me, I lay on the left side versus the
Hmm.
right side. And they say if you lay on the left side, it reduces the leaky
Yes.
gut versus the right side. Because, sometimes I'm bad at eating late at night,
Yeah.
it takes 3 to 4 hours for your body to digest. So
Hmm.
thank you for
Yep.
sharing that.
That is a good point. When I was working in the ER, I worked at a level one trauma center in Detroit, a pediatric emergency room, and every time a kid would come in with constipation or whatever, I would just like lay on your left side and rub your belly from right to left, right to left. And, obviously it took a little more than just that, but oftentimes that was enough, especially with the little ones. And the poop would just come on out. Hydration, and yeah, that's really working with gravity because the way the peristalsis happens in your digestive system, it's going up, and then it comes out like your rectum. It comes through the left, so that's like the end of your towards the end of your gut.
Okay.
So yes,
You can slowly just massage it.
massage. Yep, yeah,
See, like I said, we already learning something new. Folks with fam, we
yeah.
learning something new.
And you've mentioned the skin. The skin is the biggest organ in the
Yeah,
body. So, like you said, it can take a few weeks for those symptoms to show up,
months,
but that's because it's a
months,
huge organ. Months, yeah, it can take
and,
months.
and months, and that's why, like, I created Serenity Blues. Just to dive deeper, because the way that the food production is now, our bodies cannot stand it. And everybody say our grandparents and all this, but we can't process all that stuff, especially all the chemicals, man-made
Yeah,
stuff that we are constantly
because our
feeling our
grandparents didn't have the chemicals in the food, and they
yes,
had a whole totally different lifestyle. They didn't have DoorDash, and they didn't have like a lot of these things, So it's a different lifestyle. Then it's not the same food.
yes. And another thing I want to hit on, I know we gotta keep
Yes.
moving, but the lymphatic system, and like I said, our elders, they was sweating,
Yeah.
opening up. But see, and that's one thing that we are lacking, that we're in our lymphatic system. So I wanted to just touch on that
Yes.
because that is a big key that sometimes that's overlooked.
Yes, that the lymphatic system is our plumbing system in our body. It's
Yes,
flushing these things out.
yes.
Yes.
So the next thing is, how do probiotics and prebiotics contribute to gut health?
Yeah, so with the probiotics, they are heavy in fermented foods. So you have kimchi, which I love, sauerkraut, I
I
love.
know we talked about that.
Yes. But they can also be found, like you mentioned, in yogurt and kefir. It can be found in natto, which I haven't tried. It's like fermented soybeans. Um, and some other.
But I'm
Have you had
sorry,
that?
with the soy.
Yeah.
I try to give my
I haven't had it. I'm not a fan,
because
but
it's plastic, and when you know the process, that's why, no offense, it's like I say no
yes.
soy.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
people who still eat
Yeah.
soybeans, so I put it in there. Yeah, I haven't had that before. I'm not a fan. Soy doesn't agree with me so much.
And
But yeah,
say,
like you said, it's very easy to make GMO soybeans.
yes. Yeah.
So
I just
yes.
like to shed light, because every time, I hear it sometimes like a cringe because, like, if we truly know the process deeper into these processed foods,
Hmm.
it's no, and that's one way to help restore the gut in
Yeah.
our body. No, so that's why I want to also shed light on that too, because that still will show up skin
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, many
Yes.
issues.
Yes, yes. So those fermented foods have like the ability to produce naturally occurring probiotics, and it's like a superior form of probiotics than the supplement. I'm not saying people should or shouldn't take the supplements, but when you eat fermented foods, your body is going to replicate the good gut bacteria, and it knows exactly which ones you need, as opposed to a supplement may or may not meet those requirements. And you might, not necessarily get the exact strains that you need. So that's why I do support naturally occurring probiotics. And the prebiotics, you find those in high fiber foods, especially some of those resistant starches. So resistant starches, they resist being digested in the small
Oh,
intestine, and they kind of wait until they get into the large intestine to be digested. And that's where they can also create those healthy gut
oh,
bacteria. So my favorite is plantain, and surprisingly, rice. Like everybody's a little different when it comes to starches, but if you cook rice and then let it cool down all the way, it becomes resistant. If you eat it when it's hot and you just cooked it, it's not resistant and it can spike your blood sugar. But if you cool it down, you can always reheat it. Once it's become resistant, it doesn't go back to being non-resistant. But your it becomes a resistant starch and it won't spike your blood sugar as much. Yeah,
okay.
so those are some of the benefits of it.
I learned it. So I learned something new. So it's better to let it cool because
Yeah,
sometimes I do
with
like
rice. Yeah.
warm or hot, just depending on what I'm eating.
Yeah. I mean, we all want some fresh cooked rice sometimes, so it's not
I'm, I'm bad for
okay.
pasta. I'm bad. I can eat a whole pasta like plain. I'm bad.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, and I know, like, far as we discussing the impact, far as the gut. So, what are some of the impacts that you see that diet plays on the gut?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned earlier when I talked about like leaky gut syndrome, um, the foods that are most attractive to our taste buds, um, as far as like ultra processed foods, they're designed to keep us coming back. They're designed to like draw us in,
Yeah.
but they are often, that's usually where, if there's anything good about it, it's just going to be what it tastes like. And that's it. So, but the thing with the body, it craves what you give it. So the more that you give it healthy foods, the more healthy foods you will crave. So I always encourage people to transition out of ultra processed foods and processed foods. I mean, some processed foods might not be the worst for you. I mean, because technically peanut butter is processed, cheese is processed, but in moderation, those could be okay. But the ultra processed foods, like those cookies and snacks and Skittles and chips, those ones, I always encourage people to try something new before you just try to remove it, because the food industry is designed to, um, I might be skipping ahead a little bit, but to meet this bliss
Yes.
point. So there are people who make hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of dollars a year to keep people addicted to food, to meet this bliss point, which the bliss point is the perfect combination of fat, salt, and sugar to keep people to keep people eating the food. So anyway, so when it comes to the gut, if you eat ultra processed foods like constantly, then your gut will become sluggish and it won't be able to process it, because they're full of indigestible or non is it non indigestible undigestible food products and chemicals, like, so they just slow your digestive system down, and people begin to experience chronic inflammation, which chronic diseases, that They all come from chronic inflammation. So all chronic diseases really start in the gut, whether it's diabetes, high blood pressure, autoimmune illness, they start in the gut.
70%. And the next thing is, I just want to just touch a little bit, and you say sugar, but
Yes.
sugar and the unrefined seed oils, like that's the biggest thing. It's like for
Yeah.
me, it is so hard for me to go out, and it's so hard for me because I see canola oil
Yeah,
in mostly
everything.
everything, like, and mostly all the products is seed oil, canola oil. I'm like, no, like, no, I'm like,
Yeah. So,
so
and the
it's
thing
like,
is, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
and then also, like when we talk about sugars, what sugars do you recommend? I know I say date sugar, coconut sugar, tamarind,
Mhm.
it's the other nature's sweeteners. But do you have any recommendations? And then, far as oils, always say avocado oil number one. Then, if you can, grape seed. But do you have any recommendations as we wrapping up, like far as the processed foods, the sugars, and then the
Yeah.
oils? Is it anything that you can touch on for our
Yes.
communities?
I think the less sugar you consume, the better. I do use coconut sugar sometimes. I like dates. I add cinnamon to whatever I can because cinnamon is just naturally sweet. And I think we really have to train our brains and our mouths to um, not want sugar as much. It is a drug. They do the studies and it triggers the same dopamine release as shown on the CAT scan as opioids do. So the less sugar you have, the better. But I do understand sometimes people are going to add sugar to certain
Yeah.
things. So I do like dates, but the less you have, the better. The less addictive, you know, they become. And then in terms of the oils, um, avocado oil is my favorite. Coconut oil, but coconut oil is different than like olive
The smoke,
oil in terms of,
point. The smoke
yes, the
point.
smoke point, and it has a higher smoke point. So with olive oil, it's better to use it as a drizzle. Coconut oil can has a higher smoke point, but also surprisingly, the refined coconut oil is better for your cholesterol levels because the virgin coconut oil has phytosterols in it. If you look at those little white flakes, those those can raise your cholesterol. Whereas the refined, they just have removed that, and it's better on your cholesterol levels. They cardiologists have been studying blood vessels of people who have had cardiovascular events, and they can see what is causing the heart attacks, what's causing the plaque and the blockages. It's not saturated fat. It's those polyunsaturated fats from seed oils and vegetable oils, and um, the virgin coconut oil can also cause some problems too. So, yeah, those are my recommendations when it comes to oils.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that, because like I said, you teaching me something new,
I'm learning a lot.
especially for my family and community, especially, um, like I said, thank you for
Hmm.
touching on that. The next question I have is, how does fiber intake influence the gut health?
Yeah, so you have soluble and insoluble fiber. So the soluble fiber dissolves
What's the
in,
difference? What's the
so
difference?
okay, so soluble dissolves in water. Insoluble does not dissolve, and your body can't digest it. And this is where functional nutrition becomes really interesting to me because we have a saying: "You're not what you eat, but what your body can do with what you eat."
Okay.
So fiber is important, but there are some people, and I'm one of those. If I eat too much fiber, too much insoluble fiber, I actually get bloated from it. So I have to be really careful about which vegetables and how much of which vegetables. But the soluble fiber that digests, that dissolves in water, you can get that from a lot of fruits, beans, and those kind of things. Those are good for your heart health, so your cardiovascular health, and that kind of fiber helps to regulate insulin levels, so it reduces insulin resistance in people. Insoluble fiber is it just bulk your stool, and it's supposed to help your digestive system push the stool along. Both of them are important, but for some people, we have to be a little more mindful of like the insoluble.
Okay.
Yeah, how much of it you're having.
Yeah, and definitely like far as this month, well, next month, because I'm doing Ramadan this month, but
Mhm.
next month I definitely would love to track that, um, the fiber intake, and just to see how I feel if once I overload certain foods.
Yeah, and it it really depends on. So I'm one who I've always had issues with, and I'm just gonna tell my business now. Like, I just don't always poop every day, but everybody should truly have at least one. But there are
Yes.
times when I can go days, and oftentimes it's after I had like a couple of salads. But you think a salad would help you, but for me, I might be craving a salad, but the my body, I did this testing. My body doesn't really like lettuce too much. It's causing some some issues. So yeah, it is a good thing. It's a good thing to track.
Yeah, and see, and that's one thing I love, and that's not like really sharing, because I know far as for me, I say 2 to 3 times
Yeah,
that I fast.
look, that's a
But
dream.
but for me, like one thing I noticed, and I love how you shared that, and again, thank you for being open and transparent. But when I was in Belize,
Mhm.
when we first got there, a few of us, no matter what we ate, it took us a few days to get settled and to pass. But one thing that I truly find that when you have an intake on plants, raw foods, you have no other choice because the process that it takes to break down.
Yeah,
I like I said, I'm like sick. I like to know for sure, but I know like nuts and seed that takes like maybe 30 minutes to break down. But when we truly know the process, I mean the
hmm,
cycle of how long that whatever we intake, of how long it truly takes to break down, and then
yeah,
sometimes like when we begin to eat like just say 4 to 5 meals, if we are eating just say 2 or 3 of those meals are heavy, we are not truly giving ourselves times to truly break down that food.
yeah,
So for me, depending on like how I operate, my heavy lift days, I'm packing on. So Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I'm eating heavy.
hmm,
But Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, it'll be light where I'm definitely starting with my fruit and stuff.
yeah,
And I notice a big difference when I start off with fruits, it's
hmm,
just so much easier on the body and stuff. So I just want to just share that,
yeah. Thank you.
we touched and dive into that.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. Thank you.
so the next is, I know we talk about diet and stuff,
Mhm.
but what can you touch on any specific lifestyle factors that can harm or help your gut bacteria? I know we touched on processed foods and chronic stress that we don't touch on enough,
Yeah.
but is it anything that you can share with this?
Yes. I would like to add lack of sleep to that list.
Okay.
Um, the body operates on the circadian rhythm. So there's a certain time of day. Well, it's like 3 hour shifts, right? So after between 7 p.m. and like 3 a.m., your blood sugars are going up and down, and your body is working to take all those nutrients you ate in the 8 hours prior and apply it to what you need in your body. And if you're not sleeping, it's not able to do that. So that's why a lot of times people with chronic diseases are not sleeping well. And the foods can trigger a lack of sleep as well. So I think sleep is the most overlooked aspect of our health. I mean, there are people who are there's connection to stroke. I already mentioned diabetes, high blood pressure, all those things are connected to lack of sleep.
Not like I said, not grand. Like I said, I work nights, but
Yeah, and it can be tricky. I used to work nights. I worked nights for like 14, 13, 14 years.
yeah.
But the body will adjust. It has the time that it wants to be sleep,
Mhm.
but it also will adjust to your lifestyle. I think people who work nights just have to be just even more intentional and cautious about other things that they're doing in their life and actually getting sleep when you can, which that's one of those things that you do. So
And
that's
how
good.
much do you recommend? I know they say well, I say 6 to 7 hours. 8 hours is hard, especially when you entrepreneur. God, that's a lot. But how many hours do you recommend?
7 to 9.
Seven.
7 to 9 is it's a thumbs up. Did I do that? The little thumbs up. 7 to 9 hours is the recommendation
Okay.
from like.
But 9 hours,
Oh,
that's a lot.
listen,
Oh,
I
that's
got the body, and it really depends on your age and your lifestyle. Some people are okay with 6 hours of sleep. If I get 6 hours of sleep, I'm okay. But my body wants 8.
8. Okay, okay.
Yes, my body wants 8, and I think I might have got even more than that last
Uh,
night. But you're right. As long as it's not less than 6, if it's less than 6, you run the risk of having like insulin resistance. You run the risk of
that's what I
bloating, high
wanted to
blood
ask
pressure, and
you.
all that.
So that leads into like increased risk,
And
or
stress,
you're not
yes.
able to get 6 hours or more.
hmm Especially as you age. You know, there's a time when you can probably be okay, but specifically, I can just speak from a woman's point of view. The cortisol levels, the estrogen levels are so connected when you reach perimenopause and menopause that a lack of sleep is really going to raise your cortisol levels.
Oh,
And if those go up, then estrogen will too. And then that's when a woman has the night sweats and hot flashes and insomnia and all those issues, which it could be tricky anyway because women are going to probably experience that to some degree
yeah.
as they age. But yeah, having a night routine really will help you like set the tone for your day. Actually,
Yeah. And I know, like for me, and I know we gotta get on, but I know for me, if I can, I like to turn off my
yeah,
phone an hour, really 2 hours, but an
that's
hour before
good.
bed, and just completely just disconnect, and to allow my mind, to be at a calm, peaceful state. And as deepen, well, dozing off to a deep sleep or so.
Well,
But
that's
do you have any regimens or so like for you before bed?
you know I could do better. I used to, and then I sometimes I get distracted with life, so I could do better. But one thing I really, really liked to do was stretch before bed. Stretching before bed would just knock me out. Now I do turn. I turn like the electronics off. My phone is by my bed, but I try to keep it in a drawer or something like that.
Okay.
But as far as like a routine, my routine changes just depending on what phase of life I'm in right now.
And what quarter, what we got going?
Yeah, what's going on, like all those things. But I think it's one good thing for people to know is establishing a routine is important, but it's okay to change that routine as you see fit because if you beat yourself up for not meeting a certain routine that maybe you did last month, you're like, oh, I messed up. No, you just probably have to adjust because being hard on yourself about that is not going to help, you know?
And I want to touch on one other thing before we go to the next question. I love the statement that you had said when we was talking, where you were saying that, or just in general, where we was talking about antibiotics,
Oh,
with
yes.
people. And I know sometimes like we tend to have a culture well, in this culture, we have a tendency for people just to take antibiotics when we don't need them. So is it any way like you could just touch a little bit before we go to the next question on that?
Yes.
Because I really love that. And, by me being in holistic, medicine and stuff, like I truly believe that herbs is for the healing of the
Hmm.
nations. But
I do
can you
too.
touch on that from because I know you see that daily.
Yeah.
And can you please touch on that for us?
Yes. For one, I believe in the power of herbs as well because every medication came from a herb.
Yes.
So the medications didn't come from themselves. They're just like concentrated forms of herbs. But I think people, specifically in the West, need to be more careful. There are times when you need to take antibiotics. But one thing that I noticed, and it's hard, again, back to the pediatrics, it's hard. I feel bad for the doctors sometimes because a kid will be sick. It will be a cold, but they were really, really sick. And the parents demanded that the doctors order antibiotics. And the doctor will try to talk them out of it. And the parents just demanded it. And it's really unfortunate because if you take an antibiotic when you don't need it, it's gonna do something to your body. You're like, oh, but it works. That's because it has wiped out every 90% of your gut bacteria is like gone, diminished, destroyed when you take antibiotics. That's the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. So it will kill whatever infection. But unfortunately, antibiotics don't work for viruses. They don't kill the virus. So it just killed like it doesn't permanently kill the virus. So the virus can always come back. And another thing people do is they stop taking the antibiotic once the symptoms are better, but that's not how that works. If you take antibiotics, you have to take the whole course. And then you wait 2 weeks after done, and then you start taking a probiotic, and it takes time to build that gut bacteria. It might take a while to build that gut bacteria back up, but if you're making good choices, your body will restore itself. I had a stomach bacteria infection 20 something years ago. It's called H pylori. It was horrible. It was horrible, and I was on a very, very aggressive regimen that included 2 types of antibiotics, some other medicine, but it is like I had to restore my gut after that. So there are times I just think it's unfortunate that people often demand antibiotics when it's not necessary. Because the thing that is going to happen is when you need it for something, if you need it for something serious, those antibiotics might not work because they become resistant to bacteria because the body is so used to taking it. So I think people need to be a little more careful with those.
And then the biggest thing, like for me, I want to say maybe about a year and maybe 2 months ago, I was under the weather and I got some Tylenol cold plus, that extra.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
body, that was the first time ever my body resisted it. Like I got even more sicker. And then that's like when I really start tapping it, I was like,
Yeah.
nah. It's
See, one thing, and we actually did this in the ER as well. We told people don't take. I mean, if you need Tylenol, take Tylenol. People don't take ibuprofen as much. I take it sometimes. Like just take that medicine. But the one with the cold and the sleep, it has like all those other medicines. They put some Benadryl in there. They put
petroleum
Sudafed
based.
in there.
It's
Hmm.
petroleum based, I found.
Oh, see, I mean,
Yeah.
which one? The
Like a lot of the product, I mean, not say a lot of
those
them, but
combination ones,
yeah,
like
yeah,
with the cold. Okay,
yeah.
see,
It's
they have a bunch of chemicals, but also it's a bunch of stuff you don't need.
yeah,
So I agree what you were saying about the herbs. I like oregano and thyme. That tastes more like medicine than a lot of medicine.
yeah, yeah. Like I
I
said,
I take a
listen,
bunch of
they
those and
got me.
steep it.
Yeah, that oil of oregano, and that's now I
Yes.
gotta get some extra. See, I don't know which olive oil to get the extra virgin. I
Oh,
want
the
the
extra virgin. Yeah, well, olive oil is extra virgin
so get
because
the extra, but
yes.
they have the Spanish one and stuff. So that's one thing.
So
Go
you
ahead.
know trick with olive oil because it can be I'm gonna say bootleg.
Okay.
It can be bootleg easily as well.
Yes.
It should be like I have Spanish one. It should just be one country of
Yes.
origin and one expiration date. I mean, and an expiration, a bottle date and an expiration date. Because if it doesn't have like, if it has a multiple countries of origin, it could just have been sitting around forever.
Okay.
And if it doesn't have expiration date, I know a couple of years ago a lot of them didn't. I think these olive oil companies had caught on. They started putting expiration dates on there. But I've had a Moroccan one and had a Spanish one, and I like them both. But as long as it has one country on there, you doing better
So
than.
you would recommend going to a country one, buy from a country that's listed
Well,
on it.
it's something you can get in the store.
Okay.
Just
I would
when
like
you
to
look on the back of the.
the best of the best, if I can. Pardon me,
Yes,
guys, pardon me.
yes. I can't
But I
remember.
see the Spanish at Costco because that's one DUI that I definitely want to bring too and
Yeah,
let everyone know. Like, if we just start with these simple things, you can buy oregano, you can buy
yeah,
some
yeah.
extra virgin oil, and you have a powerful
You do.
remedy that knocks out mostly anything
Yep.
and that combats inflammation and stuff. So again, like I said, we can we can talk into that,
I
but I
think.
really wanted us to touch on that
Yeah,
because that's a big
yeah.
aspect
Yeah.
in our daily
And
life.
I do think it's okay to take Tylenol and ibuprofen sometimes, but just by themselves. I don't like those combination Tylenol with Benadryl and Tylenol with Sudafed, and unless I just like I'm gonna take this Tylenol and I'll make me a nice little tea with these herbs and some ginger, and I'll be good.
Yes, ginger.
Yeah.
Okay, then like I said, that's basically that's how it affects and ties into the immune system. The human
Yes.
body contains more bacteria cells in and on the human body. So
I think also another, just to go back real quick because I don't know, fasting is another way
mm,
that people can
reset.
reset. They can reset. You can
Oh
like
yeah.
heal your body through that autophagy phase. So like if you go a longer period, like a little beyond, like most intermittent fasting start is like 14 to 16 hours. But if you go more than 17 hours, your body is healing itself because there's nothing in there for it to eat. It is running on ketones. It is running on. It has consumed all the sugar and it's burning fat and it's going to eat your body will eat up all the bad stuff. So if you are sick, you I used to kind of be curious when people say you will starve the cold, and I'm like, I don't know why y'all saying that, But now I get it. I get it.
And
Yeah.
it's healing. Like I'm telling you, like I've seen that. Like in February, I have to go home and get the family on the herbs and stuff. And
Hmm.
one thing, like when I went to the nursing home, I see my grandmother, and they was battling cold and all that stuff. So I got them the ginger shots. I got them the watermelon juice,
Hmm.
because watermelon juice is hydrating. But see, for me, and I love that you said that aspect because, like for me, I don't eat. I can't eat. Like
Yeah.
when I'm under the weather, juice, juice, juice. I have dates, my warm lime, but juicing, man. And I tell people you don't lose weight. Like you really
Yeah.
don't. And it's like once you can try it, that's why I was like, it's a new perspective,
Yeah. And
you know?
you know what?
And
That's true.
and
Yes.
it's so healing. And once you try it and you see it, it's like, because that's what like for me, and then and
Hmm.
elderberry, cloves, ginger. So that was it. So
Yes.
I know to go
Yes.
off
Yes.
topic.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay because I have been working on fasting where I don't have like anything but like tea and water for like 18 hours. And when I do that, I'm doing that for like my health and like I had this ankle injury and my ankle is like not hurting. But you know what I mean? Like, wow, I can just fast for ankle health, like,
It's
that
just
kind of thing. So it's just
it's
amazing.
so much clears up,
Yep.
in our body,
Your
especially like
brain,
how we
everything.
what
Yeah.
our intake. So if we got a lot of processed or whatever, then
I
it's
think I'm glad you mentioned it. People who eat a lot of processed foods will go through it might be a little it take a little time to get to the point where they can do the fasting, because when you eat a lot of processed foods, your blood sugar is kind of it's going to feel like it's going up and down, and you're going to have a lot of cravings. Whereas when you aren't eating processed foods, you're not really having those cravings, so your body knows what to do during the fast. Like, you're not going through like a withdrawal. But yeah, I just would encourage people, even if you're eating a lot of processed foods now, just practice a little bit at a time, 4 hours at a time. Try 4 extra hours of not eating and see how it goes.
yeah. And like how we said before, this is not about being fully plant based or
Hmm.
consumption. This is like truly just coming together of
Yes.
finding good, clean lifestyle alternatives that we can truly implement moving forward. So,
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because you're plant based and I'm not plant based, but we agree
yeah.
on the things that are killing our society: the processed foods, the seed oils.
And then we also share like far as the fermented fruit,
Hmm.
fruits and stuff.
I mean,
So
and I
it's a
do
lot
like plant
that
foods. Like, I do eat
ties
a lot of
in.
plant foods. So, yeah.
It's just the moderation and
Hmm.
stuff, far as the meat intake or
Yeah.
just how things are prepped, far as the difference. But I just say this community is just for
Yes.
everyone. I just would like to inspire someone to let them know, plant based, it's a good option. But with the
It is.
plant based in the alkaline state, disease cannot
It
stay
can't.
is disease cannot, because your body has a pH of 7 or
Hmm.
more. So it's going to be truly an electrical state.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm truly a big advocate, for the plant based, because it's just so many illness and stuff you eliminate,
Yes.
you know. And I just want to touch on that. So
Yeah.
let's just move forward.
Yes.
Um, so how I know we touched on
Hmm.
stress, but how does stress affect the gut health, and what strategies can we migrate this? I know you said like stress disrupts gut bacteria, causing a bloom, constipation, inflammation, which is big. Strategies, that help to improve the gut includes meditation,
Hmm.
deep breathing, you were saying, exercising, and consuming probiotic rich foods. What
Yes.
else can you share with that?
I think I want to kind of touch on the deep breathing, because I think for some people that might be the easiest one to implement right away. I like to meditate, but sometimes if I get off track with meditating, I haven't done it in a while, when I go back to it, my brain is like, but the deep breathing is something that is easy to, more readily available to implement. So the recommendation is to breathe out longer than you breathe in. So you breathe in for a count of five, like a slow, deep breath, and then you blow it out for a count of 10, but blow slowly, like you're whistling. And what this does, it triggers the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is part of the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight. That's stress. That is your cortisol levels going up. Your body is fighting for its life. Like, it thinks it's under attack. So it's responding in a way. That's the sympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest. So when you're in that fight or flight, you're not resting, you're not digesting. So if you eat during a high stress time in your life, it's just turning into fat. Your cortisol level goes up. The body is not digesting. It's fighting for its life. Deep breathing and the meditation and the rest, sleep, and enjoying things that you love, exercise and other things, that will put you into, well, exercise to a limit, because if you do too much of some exercise, you stay in that stress. But
Well,
it
yeah,
depends.
okay, go ahead, go ahead, go
It
ahead.
It depends on
Yes.
what you're doing, like, and
Yes.
how long you're doing it. But with the rest and digest, you're triggering your vagus nerve to respond, and the vagus nerve is sending like these neurotransmitters to calm you down. And when you do that deep breathing, it is triggering the vagus nerve and it's slowing down your heart rate. You could actually feel your heart rate slow down when you do some of the deep breathing. So all that is, and the vagus nerve starts in your brain and ends in your gut. So that is the highway of your
The
body.
stress and how it
Mm-hmm.
affects gut health. And I love in some of the strategies. And I love that because the gut really is our second brain.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we're impacted by stress. Your gut will slow down. So when you're stressed, you're operating in a sympathetic nervous system, which, like how you were saying, fine. Also, so
Mm-hmm.
um, also, the next question. I know we touched on what role does fermented foods play in maintaining gut health? Well, no. One thing. I'm sorry. I got sidetracked real quick.
Yeah, because you were
So,
gonna say something about the
yeah,
exercise.
yeah, real quick. Because I was like, okay. But one thing also, far as how stress, a few things is like how I was saying is mindset, mindful eating,
Mm-hmm.
exercising, deep breathing, and like how you said, the consumption of the foods. And that
Yeah,
was the biggest thing because mindful eating along goes hand in hand
it
with
does.
the deep breathing and meditation. So that's one thing I wanted to throw in before we went to the next question. And did you
Yes.
have anything that we wanted to wrap up this question?
Oh no, the mindful eating. I'm glad you said that because that's probably one of the areas I could work on the most. So when I tend to be busy. I like food, right? So I'm eating, but I don't always take my time and eat. And then once I'm done, I'm like, wow, what did I eat? I'm like, man, what did I eat? But when I do eat mindfully, I notice that I'm more full, I'm more appreciative. I'm like literally offering my food to God, like as honoring my body. So yeah, that's crucial.
And it does help. And like I said, like for me, is I'm very good. Like I don't like to have my phone, all that stuff. Like I said,
Hmm.
I can be good without it. So that's one thing. It's not really a big challenge for
Okay.
me. You know, it's just like just being still. Because I practice a lot of stillness.
Okay. That's
So it's just
good.
like for me, it's just no phone and just connecting. If I'm eating with someone, just connecting and being grateful, like how you were saying, and just the connection and
You
stuff.
know, yes, that reminds me. So digestion starts in the brain. Your body is starting to digest before you even put anything in your mouth. Because if you just think about what you're going to cook, what are you going to eat, and then you remember how it tastes. Sometimes your mouth starts watering before you even pull out those ingredients. And then as you're cooking, like the smells, it's already releasing digestive enzymes. So yes, that's a good point. That mindfulness, that community, eating in community is good. I know one of my pastors last year said something like, "Don't eat alone. Always eat with people." I'm like, "What? I would never be eating. I live
Yes.
alone." But I knew what he was getting at. I knew what he was getting at. But yeah,
And real quick,
that's a
and
good.
like I said, touch on because I know you got a few other things
Oh,
lined
that's good.
up, but that's big because as my travels and my study
Yes.
around, community is big, and especially like with the Ramadan, especially because I don't have a big circle here.
Okay.
That's one thing that I'm missing that I will form after
Yes.
the end of the month because community ain't gonna lie to you, it's nothing like it, and
Yes.
it's that shift. It really does shift things. But
Yeah,
yes,
that can be a challenge for me because I'm kind of introverted most of the time. So I feel mostly like myself when I'm alone
yeah,
or when I'm just with one or two people.
yeah.
I can turn it on and off. I'm good at that. But it is something that I would love to work on more because, yeah, when I'm by
Okay.
myself, it's a party. I don't care what I'm doing. So sometimes when I'm with other people, I still enjoy them, but it's just kind of like I have to turn something else on. I have to prepare for that, and so yeah.
It's just like with me, the way that everything is moving so fast. I'm happy. That's I'm telling you, I'm happy for that bloom, that
Yes.
peaceful. Okay, but like I said, we're moving forward. So I know we hit on fermented foods.
Hmm.
But like what part does it play for as maintaining the gut health? That you can just touch on a few.
I want to say one of the things I should have mentioned before was like it will change how your body. You can like change like your DNA of your gut.
Yes.
It takes a while because when your gut, when your body, if you have mostly bad bacteria in your gut, even if you're eating healthy fermented foods, it's going to take a while before those new healthy good bacteria take over the bad bacteria because it's probably going to replicate more of what's already in there. So it can take a while, but the more you do it, the more your body realizes like, oh, we're not eating these toxins anymore. Okay, white blood cells, they're out. They're out attacking all the bad bacteria. And when you do that, you begin to experience some symptom reversal, some disease reversal. One of the things that I did that I just had no clue was going to happen, I started eating kefir more.
Okay.
And that is like a fermented milk, but it probably is one of the foods with like the most um the makeup of the milk changes once it's become fermented. That's why yogurt is also good. So it's not the same as like, the pasteurized milk, just regular milk. But anyway, my allergy symptoms are gone. I had bad hay fever. Like have been trying for years to get off of Zyrtec and Flonase. I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it lasted for a little while, then I was right back. But once I started eating more fermented foods, and I do eat the kefir more than anything, and kimchi, um, like I have no allergy symptoms unless I get an allergen directly in my face. But then the symptoms only last for a few minutes and it's gone. So I would say that those like disease and syndromes, and you start experiencing reversal of those things. The more you do it, the more your body will be used to it. And I think it does have to go through a phase where it's adjusting because it didn't happen overnight, but I could feel myself getting better. And then after a couple of weeks, I was like, okay, well, I'm not experiencing this. I can go outside and breathe in, and I don't have issue with the pollen like I did before. So yeah, I think that's one of the things.
And like I said, and I'm definitely going to get you back for another episode because I know you do a food label. And guys, I'm
Yes.
telling you, she's
Oh
amazing. So
yes.
you guys got to
Oh
check
yes.
her out, please.
Yes.
Um, but I know like what are some of the key components that consumers should look for on food labels to make healthier choices? Can you just touch on that just a little?
Yes. I would say just know that the front of the label is to draw you in, but it's full of lies. If the lies are going to be on the front, I'm not going to say they're all lies, but the lies are going to be on the front of the label. So if you see something that looks interesting, read the back first. The front label is going to draw your attention, and then read the back because the front will be like gluten free, which oftentimes means there's some type of chemicals in there. It might say sugar free, but then it might be sugar alcohols in the back. So look at the back. The first five ingredients. Well, first of all, I think five ingredients is a lot of ingredients on the label.
Okay.
But if you are buying something that has more than five ingredients, you need to consider if you really want to get it. But if you choose to get it, just know that the first five are going to be what the package the product has the most of, and is listed in order of weight.
Oh,
So
wait, really?
weight, not like
Yeah,
pound
yeah,
weight,
but I
but
know what
like,
you're saying, but
you know,
yeah.
I couldn't think of another word to say other than weight. So like a lot of times you'll have something, it'll be like mango splash. I just said that.
Mm,
But
the
you look, the
grass.
first ingredient will be corn syrup. Then it'll be high fructose corn syrup. Then it'll be natural flavors, whatever that means.
So
And then so
it's a heavy.
it's so most of it will be the corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup,
Wow.
and then natural flavors. And then the mango might be number four. You're like, okay, but this on the front says mango. So just know that the first five ingredients are what those packages have the most of. And it's listed there in order of what it contains the most of. And beware of the foods, the oils, canola oil, even the sunflower oil. Those oils are toxic when heated.
Yeah.
Yeah, the process of making them is making the oils is
And
toxic.
you know,
So then when you cook the food in the oils, it's like doubly toxic.
yeah.
You know, those vegetable oils and seed oils were initially made for machinery. And one day somebody said, let's make some popcorn and then let's put some chips in here, you know, to save money. But yeah, I would say those two things.
And then to wrap up, like how you was saying, is if you don't recognize the name on it,
Yeah.
then it's not food, and you should not consume it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of those things lead to brain fog, carcinogens, hyperactivity in children, ADD in adults, leaky gut syndrome. Thickeners are, I kind of, I don't think thickeners are the worst ingredient out here, but I think they can be the most deceptive ingredient out here because they tend to be in things that people think are healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas some of the other chemicals, I think people will know that a bag of Cheetos isn't healthy. So like they might not pay attention to that. But some people might think buying almond milk is a good idea, but they will have thickeners
Yeah,
in it.
and that oil, and that's what I'm saying. It's just these oils, and when you look at it, it's like no, and that's
Hmm.
why it's like, and that's one thing that I want to challenge our communities is let's get back to how we used to do it
Yeah.
before. Buy your nuts, get you a blender, put your water and
It,
make your own milk. It's nothing
it's
like
like it's nothing like it. And it's so easy.
add you a
Like
few dates, like how you said cinnamon. I'm getting on
I
the
put
cinnamon game.
cinnamon on. I put cinnamon in everything.
Yes.
But yeah, so those thickeners are like carrageenan is often in these nut milks, guar gum, xanthan gum, and those are actual like they come from natural ingredients, but they've been made into a powder, so they're not in a form that your body can
Yeah.
digest. So those are three of the common thickeners, and like I said, I mentioned those because they tend to be in foods that people think are healthy. And your body, honestly, sometimes I like to make coconut milk from
Mhm.
scratch, but that's a project. So sometimes I'm not gonna make coconut milk from scratch, but some you might be able to find canned coconut that's just coconut in there. Or if it does have one of those thickeners, you just really need to be careful about how much you're eating. Like I wouldn't eat a whole or drink a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then like I said, and again, far as the ways to manage the gut health, as you said, was to avoid the artificial additives,
Hmm.
the preservatives, and the processed sugars. That can help prevent gut inflammation and the microbiome imbalances.
Hmm.
Checking the fiber content ensures that proper digestion and microbiome biome diversity, as you stated.
Yes.
Um, so as we wrapping up, we got a few more questions. I
Okay.
know that what are some of the common misconceptions of misleading terms on the food label? Because I know we see natural,
Yeah.
but that doesn't always mean it. Then we see low fat versus fat free, and then we see made with whole grains, which I was usually big on that, but then I look more into it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, no. And then organic. So can you touch a little on those that you see
Yes. Yeah,
misconception?
I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying about the front of the package, because most of that stuff is going to be on the front of the package because, it seems to be healthy. But look at the back and read, go start with the ingredients. So that's part of the things that, one of the things I teach in the food label class is to turn to the back first and look at the ingredients. And a lot of times you can stop there. It's like, okay, no, no, thank you. I don't want that. Another thing that I think people are still kind of get stuck on is the calorie.
Mhm.
I think people should understand that low calorie doesn't always mean healthy, and high calorie doesn't mean unhealthy. Because avocado is one of the highest calorie foods, but it is good for you.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. Hemp
whereas,
seeds. Yeah, hemp
yeah,
seeds.
yeah. So I think people, yes, you should be mindful of the calories, but but that's for food that you're buying in a package. If you are not buying anything in a package, then you have more like liberty to consume what you want. So that, and I think um fats are things that a lot of people still aren't aware of. Fat is not bad, necessarily bad for you. It's the bad fat that we mentioned in these vegetable oils and seed
Yes.
oils that are doing damage. Because one of the things that can be traced back a couple of decades ago is like in the 70s and 80s, once low fat became the thing and they started removing fat from products, this is when diseases started to be on the rise in obesity. So removing fat from food has caused people to become fat. So don't give too much. You just be aware of what the fat like source
Yeah.
is.
But the biggest is the process, and the
Mm-hmm.
chemicals because like I always tell, anyone that I talk to, when you go to other countries, a lot of these ingredients is not made the same way
They're
that
not
it's made over there. So, like for me, like how come we can't have those same
right.
ingredients like England and all of them they have, opposed to here? Like with us, that I see the processed foods, the seed oils, and the dyes.
Yeah.
Because once you look deeper into the study of how each of these dyes, red, all that stuff, it has major effects.
It
And
does.
I know like those Takis or whatever, those
Yeah.
chips or so. But people don't realize how bad that is for the gut. And
Mm-hmm.
that leads to, over time also,
Because you're compromising the integrity of the lining of your stomach, and the mitochondria cannot process that food, so it becomes compromised, and then the foods that you eat, those poisons, leak into your bloodstream.
yeah.
And they can check that. They can check your blood and they can check people's urine, and they'll see these toxins from the Takis and Cheetos and all that other kind of stuff right there.
And I'm just saying, and I just touch on those because, I know like in general, I see that's a lot, that's
Yeah,
big.
that's a
And
very
then
common. Yeah.
still like the noodles, ramen noodles, all that stuff. But once
Oh
you
my
know like
goodness. Yeah.
that is coated with wax. And
Yeah.
that's like for me, that's why I'm saying it's very like the mindset because once you know how these products is truly made, you'll
Yeah.
understand deeper of why we have the issues that we have. And because it takes 20 years for disease to arose, like just say from everything that we eat, that way we see,
Yeah.
cancer showing up in 30-year-olds or so. It's because we are eating at a rapid, and well, everything is moving at a rapid. Also, is what are some tips for navigating food labels to avoid ultra processed foods that you see?
Yeah, I think kind of goes back to what I was saying about if you don't recognize the ingredient, like don't eat it. You know, you look at the front, flip it over to the back, read that the ingredient list, and if it's something that's not recognized as food, then don't eat it. I mean, there are times because another thing to keep in mind is these corporations know that people are catching on. So now you'll see a lot of times they'll change the names. So I will stand there right in the aisle if I'm buying something in a package. I will Google it. What is this? And this high fructose corn syrup, it's got some acronym now. HFCS. What? What? Like, because they know people know about high fructose corn syrup. And then once they catch on, and this is what they did with canola oil. Now there are so many people saying canola oil is the best oil for you. Like, so it's either just know your stuff, do your research, Google that stuff in the grocery store if you have to. And don't believe everything that you see or hear, because every time I go to YouTube I get the same ad of some man talking about what's the best oil for you. Canola oil. If you get a really good canola oil, I'm like, we knew 20-30 years ago that canola oil was bad, you so I just would say be informed and then make the decisions, and then once you make, if you decide that, you know what, my taste buds are winning today. My taste buds are winning, and I'm gonna buy this thing. Just own it, because once you own the fact that you made that decision, you will be more empowered to make a better decision. Like, don't make excuses for why you made that decision. You decided you were gonna buy these Takis for whatever reason, and you own that, and you eat those Takis, and you're gonna be thinking like, I decided to buy this, and say that to yourself. I'm deciding to buy this. I bet you it'll be only a half, maybe once or twice more that people will say that. They don't want to say that. Like, once you take ownership, and then you'll start saying, okay, how can I make my own Takis? What can I do? What can I substitute for Takis? Like, and then
Yeah.
you don't want it anymore.
Yes.
I think
And that's when
that's a
the
big
growth,
thing.
that's where the growth
Yeah.
happened. You begin to explore more. So like I said,
Yeah.
like I said, and this was a really good conversation. And again, I thank you for blessing us
Thank
with your
you.
time. And
Thank you.
also tell us, how can they find you?
Oh,
How can they keep up to date with you? Because I know you are working on a lot of amazing things. And can you share anything you would like to say that you're working on, for our
yes.
piece?
I'm working on a course for it's supposed to be on TikTok and TikTok live, but I did not know that I had to have 1,000 followers to go live on TikTok. So it's not ready yet, but I am working on a healthy living course for people, because
Yes.
I feel like we can see that there is not a priority in this country to take care of people. People have to take care of themselves. I believe people always needed to take care of themselves, but I think just what we're seeing now with this new administration, it's more obvious that they don't care. We have to care. So I want to empower people to learn about how to take care of themselves. So you can follow me on TikTok. I'm nursing. Oh no, I changed the name. Hey Nursing A, at HeyNursenay at Hey Nursing A on TikTok, and I post a lot right here on Instagram. It's naturally underscore nurse underscore nay. And I'm on Facebook, Naomi Compton on Facebook. So that's what I'm working on. I'm here. I just want to empower people.
Yes. And I
I
love
just want to
that.
continue to empower people.
Yes, I love. And like I said, I'm excited, as we dive deeper into this year,
Yes.
with more engaging, important conversations. Because, like how we talked numerous times, it's time, that we have dialogue around more of these important aspects.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, I'm tired of losing people due
Yes.
to unnecessary things where it can be prevented, So that's one of the biggest takeaway. So also, if there's one thing that we hope you take away from today's conversation, is your gut is your control center. If there
Yes.
of your health, your small intentional changes and can lead to massive transformation. You don't have to
Mhm.
be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers today. You just have to start from where you are. And like I said, Naomi, she's, like I said, we both advocates for starting where you are, not putting too much
Yes.
pressure on you. And it's okay. And I'm very big on grace. Give
Me
yourself grace,
too.
because
That is where the yes, I agree with that. That is where the growth occurs as well.
yes,
Like yes.
and continue just to take step after step, because I've been on this journey for 14 years. I'm very strict, but like I said, if I want some, before, then I'm going to have it. But now knowing moving forward, I was like, I can't have it now.
Yeah.
But also to a certain extent. So whether it's adding more fiber, incorporating more fermented foods, or reducing inflammation triggers like
Mhm.
the processed seed oils, every step you take is a step towards better digestive, better energy, and a better you,
Yes.
which we
Yes.
champion that and we truly love that. So if this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, healing doesn't happen overnight, but with the right habits, your body will thank you. Until next time, stay mindful, stay nourished,
Yes.
and keep unlocking your plant power. I'm Amber, your host of Plant Power Unleashed. Thank you, Naomi, again for having this conversation for both our
Thank
communities.
you.
Yes, and okay, let's go ahead and take a picture real quick. 1, 2, 3.